Hi everybody and welcome to English Digest. I'm Pat.
And I'm Elsie.
And I'm going to apologize in advance for having a bit of a strange voice this morning. I've had a bad throat for a few days and this is the most I can manage.
But you still sound good.
Thank you very much. So this unit is a picture writing unit about different breakfasts. What are our favorite breakfasts or some of the best ones we've ever had?
My favorite breakfast contains bacon, scrambled eggs, and French toast.
Okay, so
I think this is the best combination.
Sort of continentally American-y?
Yes. What about yours?
Oh, I really like that Cantonese breakfast.
Cantonese
that
breakfast?
we'll talk about in the advanced sample.
Okay.
That reminds me of a restaurant I've been to a few times in Hong Kong. Really good. But probably the best one was in Montreal in Canada. It was a brunch more than a breakfast, but it had it had some sweet like French toast creme brulee. So it had this kind of crackly top of sweet stuff. It had homemade baked beans and eggs and toast. It was at a place called L'Avenue.
Wow, it sounds so delicious already.
Yeah, it was so good.
Okay, so mine, I think the best breakfast I've ever had is in this hotel called Chateau, in Canton.
Okay, and what does that have?
It's breakfast buffet, so there are all different kinds of foods for you to choose. I loved it there.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's now move on and introduce our topic a bit more. The introductions for this topic is that breakfast is essential, especially for people having a long, busy day. And you are asked to write an article upon this. In the first paragraph, you're describing the features of these two pictures of the two breakfasts and kind of make a comparison between the two different styles. In the second paragraph, you discuss your ideal breakfasts and explain your choice. This article should be 2 paragraphs, which we've just explained, and be roughly 120 words in length. Longer is fine.
提示的部分呢，说到早餐对忙碌的现代人来说至关重要，而且每个人呢也都有各自的偏好，所以请你以这个为主题，依据下列2张图片的内容写一篇英文作文。文分2段，第一段呢，请你描述2张图中的早餐有什么不同，又各具什么样的特色。第二段呢，说明你心目中理想的早餐类型为何，还要解释你的理由哦。那文长呢，至少要120个单字，你多了一些是没有问题的。
So for the first paragraph, you'll be using descriptive language, lots of nice adjectives to talk about the difference. It could be the taste, the texture, the smell, the look, the colors, anything like that. But it can also be a little distant. You don't need to put anything personal into the first paragraph. You just talk about the picture. You can use some kind of personal idea, as we see in the advanced sample. In the second paragraph, you'll want to use first person, my, I, and so on. Present tense is fine because breakfast is a regular thing and you probably eat your favorite breakfast quite often. But if you want to pick a specific breakfast from the past that you've really enjoyed, then sure, you can use past tense for that. And again, throw in more descriptive adjectives to talk about how these lovely foods that you like to eat of a morning.
再来到了 develop and approach 的地方，我们第一个要注意到的是本单元看图写作是仿111年英文学测的题目哦。那根据提供的图片描述它所呈现的内容跟特色，然后再论述自己喜欢的早餐选项。
So when we want to describe pictures, that of course means you're going to use lots of descriptive writing, adjectives and so on, but that doesn't mean you can ignore normal essay writing rules. You still need to have an introduction, a kind of body that adds the details, and some kind of conclusion, maybe a comparison to wrap up that idea. You do have to keep putting that in.
再来第二个，我们要写什么？怎么写呢？第一段要描写2张图片，这个是题目指示的哈。那着重在图片中所出现的各项的细节内容。以本次的写作为例呢，你可以针对餐点的外观，比如说颜色啦、摆盘、味道、口感等等的进行描述。那越是精细的描写，就越能展现2种早餐个别的特色跟它的差异是什么。那形容词在这边的选用是非常重要的。那第二段呢，你必须要由自己的经验出发，挑选自己喜欢的早餐类型，并且提供具体而且合理的说明跟理由。
So for the first part, you should really start your description with a general impression of the breakfast and then move on to the specifics. Don't put the specifics first and give an overall impression at the end. It's best to start with a general impression, describe the details, and then just finish with maybe a small sentence to sum up. Make sure when you're writing this, you give an equal amount of words to both pictures. Don't kind of write loads about the first and almost nothing about the second. Now, normally when we do a 2-paragraph essay, you want your paragraphs to be roughly the same length. Here, probably not. In fact, your first paragraph should probably be longer because you've got 2 pictures to describe and you need to use plenty of words for each picture. So it's okay if your second paragraph is a bit shorter with this sample. For your second paragraph, it's perfectly fine to choose one of the 2 breakfast options in the pictures. In fact, if you can't think of any good ideas, just go, okay, I'll say this one's my favorite. You can also pick one of your own favorites, so the choice is completely up to you. And also remember, no one is saying you need to tell the truth. If you just think, oh, I could really describe that breakfast, go for it. It doesn't need to be true, just well written.
刚刚讲到一个重点呢，就是你要在描写早餐的时候，先给一个概述，好，不要直接写细节。概述完之后，底下再来提供细节。那还有就是你给2种早餐的字数呢，不要差太多，要公平。那再来第3个呢，我们要讲到的是图片写作，讲求的是细节的呈现跟对比，而非华丽的语汇。因此呢，与其选用花俏、艰涩难懂的字词或复杂易错的语句，不如用平易近人的字句，才能精准的掌握图中的重点，并且吸引读者。
So with your descriptions, it's important to hit different kinds of areas. Of course, you want to talk about what you can see, the look of the thing. So that would include colors, shapes, but also imagery, which we'll look a bit about imagery later in the advanced sample. But don't just concentrate on vision and sight. You can add other senses as well. How might this stuff taste? How might it sound on the plate or in your mouth? How will it feel when you bite into it? So don't just cover what it looks like. Think of all the senses.
是的，视觉啦、味觉、嗅觉、听觉都可以描写进去。那再来到了 brainstorming 的部分，在 brainstorming 的地方啊，我们可以选用下方的阶层图，先把2张图片当中你看到的关键字写下来，好，然后就可以轻松的把它们变成写作的大纲。
Right, so the chart we've got in our article, it's fairly simple. You've got your 2 types of breakfasts, and one we'll call the healthy one, and one we'll call the oily one. But then look underneath those in our little chart, and you'll see how it's split up. We've got nouns on the left and adjectives on the right. So if you can, try to pick at least one adjective to go with each noun. So it helps. You don't have to be exactly one-to-one, but it does help. So a range of fruits, so that's colourful. Orange juice is fresh. Whole grain bread, you could also use fresh or clean or something like that. Whereas the oily one, we've got fried foods, bacon, eggs and sausage. Those are the nouns. But the adjectives oily, they could be a little bit greasy sausage, crisp bacon, salty hash browns, that kind of thing.
好，所以这边的阶层图呢，很清楚的呈现了2种早餐不同的特色。左边的这个呢是健康的早餐，右边的这个是比较油腻的不健康的早餐。那各自呢都写出了他们早餐涵盖的内容是什么，食材是什么，然后呢分别用一个形容词来形容那个食材。那在描述食物的时候呢，如果能够善用以下的 adjectives 形容词，你的文章就会更加生动哦。
Yeah, you're going to need to use quite a lot of adjectives here, describing words. And you definitely want a good variety of adjectives. But a word of warning, don't just concentrate on adjectives, okay? And it's best not to use a list of 2 to 3 adjectives for every single item, because that will seem over-descriptive and the overall message will be lost. It's best to present the best adjective, not the most adjectives. So if one word really describes it well, you don't need to add more adjectives because you've already chosen the perfect word.
没错，你在用形容词的时候要选适当的，好，不要呢想到的形容词全部都用上去，那这样就太多了。
So we've now got a chart which looks at some adjectives that you could use based on the different qualities or aspects of the food. We've got the look, we've got the texture, we've got the flavor, and we've got the smell. That's what I talked about earlier about paying attention to all the different senses. So we're going to start off with a look. How does the breakfast look? And we've got words like healthy, colourful, hearty, which is
丰盛的
fattening.
会使人发胖的
Yeah, that's the oily breakfast. And exquisite.
就很精致
Okay, some of those could work for both. Some of them are better focused on just one of the two. So then we move into texture. This is how you'll feel it in your mouth when you bite into it. So we've got words like tender, crunchy, crispy, chewy.
Chewy 就是你咬起来呢是很 Q 弹，有弹性的。
Then we have smooth, juicy, greasy, thick, creamy.
绵密的
meaty, and fluffy.
松软的，所以这里呢是在讲口感的部分，也就是 texture。那再来还有一个是 flavor， 你吃进去的味道。
I'll just go back to the word fluffy because you might think fluffy, you mean like a cat or a rabbit or something like that. The word we'd often describe scrambled eggs as fluffy. Right.
Especially when it's with milk.
Yep, you add some milk in, whisk it, get some air in, and then they make fluffy scrambled eggs. So then we move on to flavor. We have savory.
咸辣的
salty.
那就是咸的了。
Sweet, sour, acidic.
酸的
light, heavy, rich, oily, satisfying, which is kind of more of a personal emotion.
就是让你吃进去会有很满足的感觉。
Spicy.
辣的
and umami.
有这个鲜味。
Yeah, that's kind of like the soy sauce and tomatoes, meaty a bit kind of flavor. So then finally we have smell because you actually do a lot of tasting through your nose. A lot of your taste buds are up there. We wrote about that in a reasonably recent ED article. Yep, now we have smells. Then smell adjectives include fresh, fruity, appetizing,
开胃的
fragrant,
有香气的
and mouth-watering.
令人垂涎三尺的
Yeah, the kind of smell that as soon as you get it, your mouth starts to water.
那此外呢，还有一类的形容词可以表示食物是美味的、可口的，比如说 tasty, delicious, delectable， 好，这个就是美味的意思。还有就是 scrumptious， 非常好吃的 finger licking， 吮指回味的 lip smacking， 美味到令人咂嘴的，就吃的时候会发出这样的声音。
Yeah, those are quite descriptive. Finger licking means, I've got some of it on my fingers, but instead of wiping my fingers on a tissue, I'm just going to lick it off because it tastes so good. And yeah, lip smacking when you want to kind of, just get all the flavor from off your lips. So to get a good idea of what to say, pay attention to the language that's used on things like food packages, menus in restaurants, food ads, and cooking shows. All of those things use fancy language to sell the food. And you can do the same. Use fancy language as if you want to sell this breakfast.
那接下来到 make an outline 的部分。
Yeah, we'll do that in a moment. I think right now we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we will look at our outline. Welcome back, everyone. We're now going to use that information, the details from the pictures and some of those adjectives to make an outline, to get this into the right order of sentences. Now, of course, you don't need to connect all the sentences in your outline. You don't need to put all the details in your outline. You just build a structure that you can hang the rest on later. So paragraph 1 starts with an introduction. Of course, you still need to do an introduction, and it's many people say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Now, I'm sure everybody has heard this kind of quote. It's, everybody's talks about it. It's really common. So it makes sense to use it, and it introduces the topic clearly.
没错，作者这边呢用了大家都知道也都会说的内容来作为文章的开头，这样子可以引来读者的注意。所以没错，人们都说早餐是一天中最重要的一餐。
So now we move on to the body, the details. It says the pictures show 2 different breakfast options. So we definitely need to mention that we're doing a picture. And then we have 3 kind of bullet points for each picture. The first one looks healthy. It includes a range of fruits and it's colorful. Everything seems fresh and clean. So that's the first one. And then we've got D. The second breakfast is the opposite. The plate is filled with fried foods. And finally, although it looks great, it's likely oily and you'll feel it in your stomach all day. So that covers our 2 breakfast options. There's lots of nice words, there's adjectives, there's visuals, but you will add more in as you write that paragraph out in full.
是的，作者这边呢，对比视觉上面看到2种早餐的差异。第一种呢，看起来 healthy 很健康；第二个则是很多的炸物 fried food， 所以会有很 greasy 油腻腻的感觉。
So now we move on to paragraph 2, where our writer talks about their own choice and says, my ideal breakfast is a Taiwanese one. So that's kind of our topic sentence for this paragraph, stating what the best thing is and saying what that's going to be, what their choice is. So then we got the details. A, I love danbing, lightly fried and crispy on the surface. B, I prefer mine with warm, melted cheese and with the right amount of soy sauce. And C, it goes so well with hot soybean milk and youtiao.
在说自身经验的这个段落当中呢，作者直接点出他理想的早餐是台湾式的台式的早餐。那第一个原因是我喜欢蛋饼，表面很酥脆，还有里面有融化的 cheese， 而且加上适量的酱油，那就更好了。最后他说啊，跟热豆浆和油条是非常搭的。
Do you often get this kind of breakfast?
Yeah, I do like this kind of breakfast a lot.
Yeah, it's one of the things when I came to Taiwan, I was like, yeah, great, I can happily eat this.
Right.
Plenty of times. So we go to the conclusion, and it's, this breakfast always starts my day in the right way. So you'll see that line at the end matches the common saying about being the most important meal of the day that we started with. So it brings it back almost like a circle to our very first point.
作者这边呢用到了前后呼应，一开始说人们觉得早餐都是很重要的，最后再提到一次，他说如果你吃了对的早餐，这一天就完美了，所以再次重申早餐的重要性。
So you've got your outline, you've got your structure, so you add more details, transition words, and so on as you turn it into a full essay. Try not to leave out any important details. It is easy to include too much information if you're not careful, and so this is where the outline can help you because you'll go, okay, I've planned it and these are the bits I'm going to hit, and my outline will show me if I'm not paying enough attention, if I'm writing more about picture 1 than about picture 2, or if I'm not writing enough about either picture and I'm spending too much time on paragraph 2 and my own choice. You'll find that out if you plan it in your outline, and it's great because then you just need to fix your outline quickly instead of rewrite your whole essay. So let's start with our basic sample and we'll do some explanation as well. And of course, this is the one we've already done the outline for. Many people say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. The pictures show 2 very different breakfast options. The first one looks very healthy. It includes a range of fruits, kiwis, strawberries and more, making it very colourful. Everything seems fresh and clean, from the orange juice to the whole grain bread. The second breakfast is just the opposite. The plate is stacked with fried foods, including bacon, eggs, and a sausage. While it does look appetizing, it likely tastes both oily and salty. You'll feel this heavy breakfast in your stomach all day. My ideal breakfast is a Taiwanese breakfast. I just love danbing, lightly fried and crispy on the surface. I prefer mine with warm, melted cheese inside, with just the right amount of soy sauce. It goes perfectly with a bowl of hot soybean milk and youtiao. This breakfast always starts my day in the right way. we're now going to take a look at a few of the different words and some of the ideas in it. Now, you'll notice that for the basic sample, that was the one we used for the outline, and we follow it pretty closely. We cover all those picture details, the personal choice. What we're doing is adding some extra details that aren't in the original.
是的，那在里面呢，我们看到几个不错的用法提出来，提醒一下同学，像是呢，刚有讲到的 a range of 一系列 ，a range of fruits 那就是一系列不同的水果，各式各样的都有。再来呢，还有一个形容词是 stacked， 那就是放有成堆的某种物品，像是呢，我们可以说 the fridge is stacked with fruit and vegetables， 那就代表冰箱里面塞满了水果和蔬菜。那再来还有一个形容词也很重要 ，appetizing， 好，它代表的是开胃的，你吃了它或是闻到它的味道，你可能就会想要继续吃下去。那接下来还有一个是 A goes perfectly， 或者是 A goes well with B， 那就是 A 和 B 很相搭。像是呢 Your hat goes well with the shirt， 那就是你的帽子跟你的衬衫是非常搭配的。
Yep, notice that we're hitting different senses here. We've got colourful in terms of the first breakfast, fresh, clean, and then the other one we've got things like oily and salty for the other breakfast, so taste words, appetizing, how it affects you mentally. And then in the second paragraph we've got warm, which is a good one because that's talking about temperature. That's a different kind of adjective. And then we have lightly fried, crispy, so that's the texture adjective. So there's a good variety of different words in here. Now, the advanced sample is a bit more complicated. It's a lot more descriptive. So let's read it and find out what's going on. Advanced sample. All happiness depends on a leisurely breakfast, said famous American journalist John Gunther, and I couldn't agree more. Those looking for a leisurely breakfast have many options available, and two of these are shown in the pictures. The first shows a health-conscious yet delicious breakfast, replete with fresh fruits and other nutritious items. The fruits are a rainbow of colour, from the ruby red strawberries to the refreshing green of the kiwis and avocado. The alternative is a greasy delight of eggs, toast and bacon, accompanied by baked beans and a crunchy hash brown. If you wake up hungry, this is precisely what you'll be craving. When it comes to my ideal breakfast, I'll return to that word, leisurely. And there are few breakfasts that can be enjoyed with more leisure than a Cantonese-style breakfast. Traditionally, dim sum breakfasts begin early and end late. While you sip refreshing cups of tea, you can enjoy a vast array of dishes of all types, textures and flavours. Fluffy steamed buns filled with sweet egg yolk are followed by savoury rice noodle rolls covered in a thick, fragrant sauce. The air of the restaurant is filled with new and enticing smells as servers roll carts piled with chewy sesame balls or steaming radish cake past tables where customers take their ease. There's no better way to spend a morning than by enjoying a classic dim sum banquet. The advanced sample, it starts with a quote, which is a great way to start an article if you happen to know a good one that works. And the word in the quote kind of tells you what the rest of the article is going to be, leisurely. The word leisurely is the theme of this entire article. It's what informs the choice in the second paragraph. And again, we're hitting lots of different sensory adjectives. We've got colours, we've got shapes, we've got the kind of texture, greasy, we've got smells, we've got flavours, we've got everything in here.
OK， 在这个进阶范文当中呢，它的描写又更加的细节，更加的细致了。那你会发现呢，它的全文整篇文章紧扣 leisurely 这个字，代表的是悠闲的，好，它是个形容词。那当然也有很多其他很棒的形容词出现在这一篇文章当中，所以我们可以来看一些单字。Let's look at some of the vocabulary words.
Yeah, also I'd like to point out, I said in the description, we could, as well as using just simple adjectives, you can use phrases, like metaphors almost. The phrase here, or the sentence, the fruits are a rainbow of colour.
是用比喻的用法。
Yeah, that's using imagery. That's using a metaphor. It's what it's saying is there are many different colors,
Right.
but calling it a rainbow as a metaphor is a great way to just use a couple of words to describe something really well. Ruby red strawberries. Rubies are precious stones. They're valuable. They're expensive. They're nice to look at. So by using ruby red, we kind of give the strawberries this extra special, precious kind of idea.
所以就是形容这个草莓如红宝石般，那这样子你的视觉也顾到了，像就会让读者仿佛看到又红又大颗的草莓。
So we describe this breakfast as health conscious. So in other words, this will appeal to you if you are watching your health, trying to lose weight, looking after your body. If you are thinking about your health and how what you eat affects you, you're definitely going to pick the first one.
Health conscious 那就是注重健康的，所以当你看到 conscious 放在后方，前面加一个名词，那就是注重点点点的。
Yep, then we've got the word replete. If something is replete with something else, it just means it has a lot of that in it.
充满某物，所以 the first breakfast is replete with fresh fruits. 第一道早餐是充满新鲜的水果。
Refreshing, the refreshing green. Again, that's an adjective that talks about how you feel when you look at it. It's like you're looking at nature and go, I'm refreshed. I feel like I've got a bit more energy.
使人有精神的。
Okay, then we've got avocado, which is a fruit, kind of dark green on the outside, yellowy light green on the inside.
洛梨。
Quite popular. Hash browns. I love these.
I love these too.
Yeah, it's basically
so much.
shredded up potato, sometimes with onion, that's then been deep fried together as a patty.
薯饼。
And it's something that people crave. If you crave something, you really, really want it. If you're not eating it, you sometimes think, I really want to eat that.
渴望的这个动词。
Okay, then we move further into the second paragraph. In this kind of Cantonese restaurant, you can enjoy a vast array of dishes. That just means there's a big choice. There's a lot of different options.
Can we use a range of here?
Yeah, you could say range, but array is like higher level vocab, so it's fancier.
对，用 array 呢，听起来比较高级一些，一系列的意思。好，还有吗？
Yeah, we've got the word enticing. That's another one of these words that talks about how food attracts us and plays on our emotions. It makes us want to come nearer and go, that smells so good. I got to eat it.
诱人的。
Okay. Then we've got a few food words here. Sesame balls.
芝麻。
And radish cake.
萝卜糕。
Yep. And we're describing the tables in this restaurant where customers take their ease. To take one's ease just means to relax, to take it easy.
在这边他们可以放松休息。
And the final word of this sample is banquet, a great big feast with many courses that's got this, you read the word banquet, you think of luxury, you think of high class, you think of spending a lot of money and time to get things right.
中文呢，我们会说盛宴、飨宴。
Yeah, it's like a wedding banquet or a Chinese New Year banquet, that kind of feel to it.
没错。
All right, well, we are out of time. Hopefully you've learned something useful from listening to us talk about these two articles and how you can write them. And that's all from us. For English Digest, I'm Pat.
I'm Elsie.
Thanks for listening. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.